absolutely chucking it down. Quick word about the Vitapods, all the stuff in them actually. You may remember video back possibly, I did have to resow some onions because I let them go leggy. But one of the other things I featured was the zabroon and the poo germination, and that was after 2 sowings I did them. Anyway, I'll just quickly show you what's happening inside here and then have a few words. Firstly, a quick look at the 5 tubs that I did broadcast sowed, and can you guess which one is the zabroon? I think that batch of seed was from Marshall's. I think the first one was from Brown's. And looking back on the Agriland plug plant trainers, them are starting to come up now, each one. But surprisingly, some of the zabroon are showing, which I did a multi-sow again. And these ones I think was from Simply Seeds or Seeds Direct. I'll put a little label underneath. But they're starting to come up okay now. These are still at about 16, 17 degrees. And I might start thinking about pricking these out soon. Hello folks, I thought I'd better check in and let you know I'm still around. It's the 11th of January now and I haven't done much really since Christmas. To be honest, I've got quite a few jobs on in the house, long jobs, and also I've been off the hooks for probably a week or so, and my wife's been ill for probably a fortnight. Got this dreaded lurgy what's going around. It's like a sore throat and thumping headache, and with my asthma and all, struggling breathing it sometimes, but it seems to be getting easier. I have done the throat swab and test and all that is clear, so I think we just got to let it run its course. In the greenhouse we've got there's plenty of onions here what need pricking out, and I'll be doing those quite soon. Well, first of all, I think it's about time I started sowing some of the more longer vegetables what need germination and that. I'm doing quite a lot of sweet peppers this year, probably about 10 different varieties. I'm only doing one chilli, and that's going to be the Carolina Reaper. That's just for the sake of it. Well, first of all, I'm going to start with the aubergine, and this one's called Black Beauty. I've seen quite a few people grow this, they look a decent size. So normally I'd grow them in the Agriland plug plant trainers, but because I'm going to have these at quite a high temperature for germination, I'm going to be using the single Vitapod. So to save on space, I'm going to do bulk sowing in these little 7cm pots and then prick them out a bit later. Believe it or not, this is only the 2nd year of growing aubergine. Last year I grew some, had a decent crop, but I think I grew the wrong variety. It was a dwarf variety, and I got a bit jealous after watching quite a lot of YouTubers with these large variety called Black Beauty, so I thought I'd give these a go. As you can see from the list, there's quite a few peppers there. I've done between 4 and 6 seeds in each sowing, so there should be plenty enough for me. And at the top the aubergine. You notice the 2 crossed out there. There's a zabroon which I've tried 3 times I think and failed, and I only had one sowing of Mammoth Red. I think the seed was way out of date, so I can't complain about that one. And into the small Vitapod, there they all are lined up like soldiers. I've put a tray in the water there for soaking, and that'll get heated along with the peppers, so there's no shock when we do water from below. This will be set, as I said, at 20. And the big propagator where I've got the onion seedlings in now, that's down to about 12, and I'm ticking along nicely. Just a bit of a heads up before I finish filming for today. I know I was going to be doing this, so this morning, first thing, I put my MacBook on charge, ready to copy the files across. And shock horror, no charging light on. Now, only 6 weeks ago, I had a new battery in there, which cost a fortune, so hopefully it's not the battery. What I have done is send for a replacement charger. That's due to come in the morning, so hopefully we'll be back up and running. Fingers crossed. Right, this is how I left the sowing of the peppers yesterday. They're in the single Vitapod with a double layer of bubble wrap on the top, and also I've chucked a bit of fleece on for a bit of added protection. Temperature's set at 20, so that should keep them ticking along nicely, and hopefully they'll be up within a week or 2. What I wanted to do now is to actually start pricking out the onions. By the way, the roaring and the ticking you can hear probably in the background, I've put the diesel heater on in there because outside it's still touching 0 degrees and it's a bit nippy. By adding that on within half an hour, it's probably raised the temperature up in here to 12 degrees above the ambient outside, and that makes it nice and comfortable for working. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to be pricking the onions out because if I leave these any longer, they're going to be filing back on me again like the last lot did. These first lot I'm going to be looking at are the Vento, and as I says, I've already put some one pot tray ready. I'm going to be pricking them out into there. I'll probably do 2 trays of each variety and see what's left. At this stage, the onions just got one single root, so do be very, very careful when you pot them on. I like to do a deep hole, sink the onion nice and deep, and then just gently edge the soil around the stem. Depending on how long you've let the seedlings go, they may flop over, but once they've got over the initial shock, they'll soon pick up. Now normally I'd water these from the top to get rid of any air pockets, but I've given a good tamping down, so what I'm going to do now is soak them from the bottom. As soon as I see the compost changing colour, I'll take them out and give them drying time. I'm gradually cleaning the allotment up now as I go along in between the weather spells. Still got about 4 or 5 stalks of sprouts. As you can see, these are the crispest. Picking them, still they've out quite well really, considering we've had some grotty weather. And so some of these was ready around about October. So once these are gone, I can start tidying the bed up and getting it ready for the next crop. This carrot tank's almost empty now, and what I want to do after I've got these last few out is that what I like to do is take at least half the soil out and then put some decent feed in there. Usually I do comfort feed, I might add a bit of bloodfish and bran, mix that in, and then put the topsoil back, because I want the nutrients a bit farther down to make the carrots go down and actually search for it rather than having it right at the top, because that's what usually causes is splitting. Saying keeping this like this, chopping the tops down, the plastic on the top, with all the bad weather we've had, cold and all the rain, it has done these really good, and I can highly recommend growing your carrots this way again. As you can see, these are sweet candle, and we've actually got some decent sized carrots there. Looking in my diary from last year, I got a note on to sow the celery a bit earlier, because although I had a good crop recently, it was a bit late harvesting. So yesterday I did my usual trick for the celery, and that's to soak the seed overnight in the refrigerator. And also a very, very similar seed to all this Celeriac, and I'm going to try that for the first time with this. So what I've done, I've got some of my worm compost. I've actually put some very, very fine sifted vermiculite in the top. Give this a good soaking from the bottom. I can tell the water's come up now because the colour of the vermiculite has changed. And what I'm going to do then is just broadcast these seeds, there's the Celeriac and the celery, onto the top of them and pop them into the propagator. In actual fact, I think it was when I don't know whether it was when I was on Danny's Live or one of the things I did recently on YouTube, someone put a question up if I was going to continue doing the Growing Made Easy series, and I am, and I think the next one I'm going to do is growing celery, because there's quite a few people seem to have a few issues with that. Amazingly, I can grow it quite easily. I don't know whether it's a variety I've got, but to be fair, when I sow this, it does tend to get neglected in the pots until I prick them out, and it looks after itself. The big thing with celery and all the stuff like that is you've got to have good moisture underneath and plenty of humus. But anyway, let's get sowing this. Well, both the Celeriac and the celery have been sown now, and I've put them inside the Vitapod propagator. Just pop it inside and show what's happening in there. As you can see, the capsicums are starting to poke their heads up now, and also the aubergines, they actually need potting on. Surprisingly, the Carolina Reaper was one of the first to germinate, and I thought that'd take quite a long while, but not complaining. Anyway, I'm going to pop the lid back on these now because they're ticking over at a nice 20 degrees and they seem quite happy in there. If you'd like to have a more closer look in detail of how these Vitapods work, they're worth every penny. I've got a little video here, take a look at this and it'll show you the build and how to set them up.